All right, hello everyone. First off, congrats to Iowa on a huge upset against Ohio State this weekend. Um, I saw this really neat trick play that you guys ran on fourth down against them to set up one of your touchdowns. I thought I'd break it down for you. So, what Iowa's doing here in this play, again, it's fourth down. They have their field goal unit out there. Ohio State is probably expecting a field goal attempt. Obviously, but that's not the case as they come out in this really wacky formation you see here. Some people call it the swinging gate formation, but I've seen about a thousand, maybe not a thousand, but I've seen many different formations called the swinging gate that kind of take on the same sort of concept. So the idea behind these sorts of formations is when you come out in them, you want to present a threat to the defense that is very immediate and very obvious. And for this formation, that is this setup over here, where you have all these linemen over here. What teams will typically do when they use formations like this is they'll primarily run or they'll try to set up a quick screen. So they'll have these five linemen or blockers or just five players up here and then try to run a quick screen to the player behind them. But that's not what Iowa does. So another thing to note too is the hash marks. So the ball is being snapped on the right hash. There's the third, roughly. There's the field's almost split in thirds between the hash marks. So it's about a third here, about a third here, and about a third here. Since the ball's on this hash, you have a narrower space over here, but we have two receivers right here, the two tight ends. So Iowa's also creating a big receiving threat over here for Ohio State. The formation is legal because there are 7 players on the line of scrimmage. The rule is you can have no more than 4 players in the backfield. All right, but that doesn't mean you can have less. You just can't have more, which means you're going to have a minimum of 7 on the line. So these 2 tight ends, place kicker Colton Rastetter, and wide receiver Nick Easley. Those are your 4 backs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This end man right here on the line is Tyler Kluver, the long snapper. He's going to end up catching the pass. And then this is offensive lineman Dalton Ferguson. The other rule in football to note, in terms of how is this play allowed to work, is end man on the line of scrimmage. The end man on the line of scrimmage can receive a forward pass. So those are the 2 outermost players on the line. So if we look over here on this side, on the left side of the line, that's this player right here. So he's eligible to receive a pass, and the other end man on the right side is Kluver, the long snapper. Now, so if you look at the still image or if you look at the GIFs that are running there, it's not as easy to see, but if you look closely, these 2 guys are just far enough off the line that they do not cover Kluver's position. So this is actually, it's like a trips formation. 3 wide receivers are all right here eligible. Obviously, this line right here is not, because the end man on the left side is all the way over here, and he's covered by Kluver on this side. So this makes him ineligible. So again, here's the first big threat for Ohio State. And then they exploit the right side by bringing Easley across the formation. So before the snap, Easley's going to come across, almost like it's going to be a jet sweep. This defensive back runs with him, so he's probably just manned up on him. If Ohio State wasn't ready for this, they probably would have just manned up on these players as they came across. But as Easley's coming across, Ohio State's defense on this side reacts too. This defensive player comes over, and this safety comes up. So when he does that, this player widens out too, kind of sets up shop right here in the middle. But when he does that, look what happens now. There's nobody back here at all. This safety comes up. He's not in a good position to help out back here. This this defensive player comes over. There's nobody right here. The only somewhat defense they have in the middle of the field is this player right here, and all he's useful against is some sort of run or counter that comes back underneath and towards the middle. There's no way he's going to be able to help out with the passing game from up on the line of scrimmage. So that's how Iowa has kind of exploited and used the field to exploit Ohio State. They completely isolated all the space between the hash marks, putting all their players or forcing all of Ohio State's defensive players outside of the hash marks. On this side of the line, when the ball is snapped, Offensive line just steps like it's almost like it's outside zone. They're just, again, decoy blocking. They're just trying to occupy the side of the line. Now, if there was a defensive back that hung out over here, he could go back and cover this pass in the middle, but what they did was they kept this receiver on a go route. They put him on a go route, which occupied the only other defender on that side of the field. On this side, Iowa's trying to make it look like a rollout or a quick screen. So off the snap, the two tight ends go and block straight ahead and easily sets up like it's a quick screen. So you'd figure right off the snap, since this is a place kicker, you're not expecting much out of him. He would just snap the ball and then toss it to here. But as he rolls out a little bit, this guard comes over, and this simulates a good cross like trap action. Usually a lineman would block down, guard pulls. It's a common run simulation action, which can bring the defense up. But then rather than blocking, Kluver's going to run a route because, again, he's eligible. And he runs right down the middle of the field. Off the snap, outside of this receiver running a go route, most of Iowa's players don't even really move much because the job's already been done just by this motion and pulling these defenders. There's no way they're going to be able to cover this. One coaching point I kind of want to make note of, though, is when Kluver's running his route, he gets really hard down here and then goes up the middle. That puts him in a position where the throw for Rastetter, again, this is a place kicker here, it makes it an easy throw for him because that allows Rastetter to throw to an inside shoulder, which will then allow Kluver to just gently and easily run onto the ball. Had it been something like this, and he took in like a trajectory like this, that might have been a harder throw for the kicker because he would have had to now throw over the shoulder of Kluver, which, again, is a tougher throw to make, and it's also a tougher catch to make. So I think just the way that route was ran was really interesting as well. So again, he throws it, Kluver hits him, they catch the ball, and then, unfortunately, Kluver falls before he can get in the end zone, but Iowa scores on the very next play. So there's that. Hope you enjoyed.